Hello, and welcome to You Write, the podcast where creativity meets community.
I am Matt.
And I'm Ray Ray.
Every week on You Write.
Go on.
Each week on You Write, we challenge our listeners to write a story in just 30 minutes using 3 of 5 randomly generated words.
It's a fun and fast-paced exercise to spark your imagination and get those creative juices flowing.
We'll read your submissions, offer feedback, and discuss the unique twists and turns of each story.
Whether you're an aspiring author or just love a good tale, You Write is your place to explore the endless possibilities of storytelling.
So grab an Etch-a-Sketch,
There you go.
settle into your favorite beanbag chair,
Mm-hmm.
and let's dive into this week's stories.
Remember, the only limit is your imagination and 30 minutes. Let's see what you got.
Let's see what you got.
Yeah.
That was different.
Yeah, that was sultry.
We did a thing.
That was sultry as hell.
That was yes. It's the only way we can describe what that was.
I agree.
I was thinking it was NPR-esque.
Yeah.
You know, just
little bit.
Hello and
Yeah.
welcome to NPR.
They're just so calm all the time.
Yeah, so soothing.
Right. So, Matt, tell me about you. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well.
Oh, okay. Go on.
Yesterday,
Yeah.
we went and watched The Birds, the Alfred Hitchcock
Oh
movie.
my God. Where?
At the Cactus Theater.
What?
I know. I had no idea they did cinema events.
Oh, wait, it was cinema at the Cactus. It wasn't a play?
No. No. It was the Alfred Hitchcock flick.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was amazing.
That
was a lot of
love
fun.
The Birds.
Yes. That was so much fun.
Wow.
Yeah. The movie is just campy enough,
Yeah.
and you can tell that they kind of realized that people would maybe have trouble taking it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of leaned into some humor at the start of it, especially with like the
Wow.
way that she drives and stuff. So it was that was wonderful. It'd been many years since I had seen it. Granted, we watched that all the time when I was growing
Same.
up. So
That was one of the ones that we had on repeat.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
on, and you probably taped it off of like
Oh yeah.
Turner Classic
Oh, yeah,
Movies or
yeah.
AMC
We
or whatever.
taped it.
Oh yeah, ours was too.
Yeah.
And yeah, we watched that and Psycho and Vertigo.
Oh, Vertigo. That was my favorite Hitchcock. Although Rear Window, I also love.
That's probably my favorite.
Really?
Yeah, I love Rear Window. Great movie. If you haven't seen Rear Window, do yourself a favor and go watch it immediately. Like pause us
Go watch.
and go watch Rear Window
And then come back.
and
Yeah.
let us know how you feel about
Yeah,
it.
it's wonderful.
It is wonderful. But yeah, Cactus Theater. Who knew? We
I
went
had no
to.
idea.
They had a show out there that one of our friends was playing at called Guitar Slingers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that was a really fun show.
Mhm.
Anyways, and then they were promoting The Birds. So I'm actually really curious about their other cinema events because it was
Yeah.
legit.
Really?
Yeah.
Do
It's
they
a
have popcorn?
really good, yes. Oh god, dude. They have
Oh.
popcorn. It is not way overpriced, and you get
What?
free refills.
Oh my.
The whole time you're there, you just
Is it
take your
good,
bucket.
though?
It is good.
Wow, because I love popcorn.
They have popcorn. They have pickles. You can get beer, wine. You can get free soft drink refills.
Okay, tell me when the next event is.
I know.
want to go to a cinematic experience there.
Yes, it
Sounds
was
wonderful.
not at all what I was expecting. That theater is nice. That is a very nice theater. It had been years since I've been in there, but the projection system, the sound, the screen, everything was top notch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been there too.
Yeah.
I performed there once.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Wow. And what was your performance?
Strumming my pain with his fingers, singing my life with his words. killing me softly with his song.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Rachel. She will be performing sometime
Yes.
with Killing Me Softly.
Yep. I actually, that was like in my head constantly, and I would sing it all the time until one of my exes was like, you know what? You're killing me softly.
Actually, you're killing me loudly.
Right. I was like,
okay, sorry.
Yeah. No, I really wasn't sad. I was just like,
whatever. Clearly, this isn't going to work out.
Right. This ain't going to work.
Well, what about you? How you doing?
Great. Well, I just came back from Shreveport. Yeah. Yes.
Louisiana.
For a conference, a professional work conference.
Were you very totes profesh the whole time?
So profesh. Well, except for the night that I got blackout drunk.
Oh, God. This just off of a juice cleanse.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
I bet that was intense.
It was.
Oh, that reminds me of my time in New Orleans. Yeah, that was. Whew.
Yeah, see?
It was also for work, and yeah, that was a. Was that a
doozy?
That was a mild disaster, yeah.
Yeah. Well, mine, I mean, wasn't that bad. I don't remember the end of the night, but I do know that the next day I found text evidence that I had been out and about talking to people, and then the next day some guy came up to me and was like, Rachel, are you okay? And I was like, who are you? I've never
stranger.
seen you in my life. He's like, yeah, a few of us were worried about you last night. I was like,
uh-oh.
A few of who? Anyway, so then the whole rest of the day I was just like really paranoid, looking at everybody like, who
did I make out with?
Yeah. What happened?
Yeah. Who did I throw up on?
Yeah. Who did I punch in the face?
Who did I sucker punch yesterday?
But I didn't have, nobody like bum rushed me or anything, so.
Just general concern.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that happened.
That sounds exciting.
It was great.
It was great.
It was fantastic. I can only assume it was fantastic.
Yes. It very much sounds fantastic.
Yay.
So we had 9 stories this week.
Yes, we did.
9 stories.
9 stories.
And I got to say, everybody, I think this was a superb week for our submissions.
Oh, yeah. I really enjoyed these.
Yes.
Really. I don't know why.
I think it was the words.
Could have been.
But yeah, 9 stories this week. And who are we reading this week?
We are reading The Saint by our very own mathanielmcclain.
And I believe Rachel has volunteered to read this one.
Yes, I have.
Well, all right. In your own time, let us have The Saint.
When I'm good and damn ready.
Yes, please. And no sooner.
Okay. All right.
She's got to get in the zone.
I wish I had a trainer behind me massaging me right now.
I won't do that.
I don't want you to.
Okay,
I want a personal trainer to be giving me a shoulder massage.
I guess we could hire one. Sounds expensive.
Do we have that in our budget?
Do we have a budget?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
All right. Get the fuck off of me, pig. Do you know who I am? You're under arrest. Quit resisting. Arrest for what? Obstruction of justice. I pick her up in handcuffs and escort her back to my car. That's bullshit, and you know it. She's right, but I gotta figure out why the hell she ran. I unzip the jogging pack wrapped around her waist and pull out a Walther PPK 380 pistol and a small wallet with an ID in it. I pull her dry fit hat from over her eyes. Son of a bitch, you've got to be kidding me, lady. You're Mia Orlovsky? Yeah, and when my father hears about this, there's going to be hell to pay. That is, unless you're willing to cut a deal with me. Wait. Let's back up here, princess. You're still in handcuffs. What the hell were you doing out here anyway? In this part of town? Going for a light jog? What? It helps me clear my mind. My father is a Russian mob boss. These assholes know not to fuck with me. I guess you got me there. All right, fine. You're free to go, but don't let me catch you out here again. And what about my deal? My father won't be happy you laid your hands on me without probable cause. Well, look who's the detective now. Fine, tell your dear daddy he's got a week of us turning a blind eye to his deals at the docks. How about 2 weeks? All right, now you're pushing your luck, lady. Go on, get out of here. I head back to the car and hop in. Guess we better get you home before the chief finds out I brought you to a crime scene. Sorry about that, by the way. Bill perks up. Oh, it's fine. I don't have much going on anyway. Are you superstitious? Bill asks, pointing to my obsidian hanging from my rearview mirror as we make our drive to his house. Yeah, kinda. I just like to keep the negative spirits away. With a job like this, it's easy to get lost in all the doom and gloom of day in and day out crime. We pull up to the Verdant building of Bill's home. It almost looks abandoned. All right, so you're good, right? I don't need to worry about you tonight? He brushes the gossamer blonde hair from his eyes. I don't know. You tell me, detective. Am I still a danger to society? He asks with a smirk. I peer at him for a minute to try and get a read on him, but I can't. Nah, I guess not. Be sure to check in with your PO in the morning. And here's my card in case you need anything. That sounds good, detective. You have a good night. He walks into the building, and I'm left to decide whether I should stay or just go home. But when do I ever do what I'm supposed to? I park around the corner and wait. 45 minutes go by and I'm about to doze off when I hear the loud screeching of the mesh steel storm door to Bill's apartment building. It's him. He starts walking down the sidewalk toward the river near his building. I jump out and pursue. I wonder where he's off to this time of night. Maybe he really is a danger to society still. He makes his way over the bridge, then stops midway, staring out in the black abyss of the river. For a moment, I think he's just taking in the sights of being free. Then he starts to climb over the edge and hold himself against the small ledge, keeping him from certain death below. For a second, I lunge forward to stop him, but then I think, maybe I should let this happen. One last bad guy in the world, right? He basically killed a girl and harmed several others. I contemplate the morality of my decision, and still can't reach a decision when he starts to raise himself up on the ledge. I guess he's not doing it. I approach him at an even pace. What are you doing out here, Bill? It's pretty cold to be sitting on a bridge contemplating life, buddy. Well, detective, I can't help but think what my purpose here in life is. I've harmed so many people. I don't deserve to be here anymore. Tears start to stream down his face. Do you think there's redemption for people like me, officer? What do you mean people like you, Bill? You're human just like me. Psychopaths, I mean. That's what my therapist diagnosed me as. And after spending time in my studies, I learned how very true it is. She says I'm not violent, but I'm not sure how that can be after I murdered that poor girl. I didn't know she had diabetes. She kept telling me she needed medicine, but I wouldn't listen. I was too busy playing with my other pets, and she was too weak to speak clearly. Look, I know, Bill, I read the report. It was an accident, but you paid your debt, right? You can try and do some good in the world now and right your wrongs. Do you really think a lifetime of doing good or better can make up for the heinous things I've done? I think the best thing I could do for the world is end my life, so I'm no longer a threat to anyone. I can no longer harm anyone. So many people's lives have been ruined by the things I did. My father killed himself. Many women are left with permanent trauma. And a family doesn't have their daughter anymore. Their spirits speak to me every day. I just want it to stop. I tried to do it. I wanted to do it. But I'm too much of a coward to even take my own life and rid the world of my evil. Look, Bill, I don't really have an answer to those questions. But one thing I do know is that life is one big shitstorm, and all we can do is try. Try to get better. Try to do better. Try to be something better than we were yesterday. And I think you're off to a decent start. I mean, you helped me with that crime scene when everyone else was too stupid to see what we see. Look, speaking about that, there's something I still don't understand about how that whole thing went down. So how's about you come back on this side and let's go get a cup of coffee and talk it over? What do you say? Bill looks out in the Black River abyss again, then looks at me and swings his body back over the ledge, and with a somewhat somber smile says, "All right, detective, that sounds fine. It is pretty cold out here. I wouldn't want you catching a cold."
Well read.
Why, thank you.
Yes. An excellent story, Nathaniel.
So good.
So good.
I was very riveted by that one.
Yes. And I see a lot of improvement here.
Me too. Tons.
Like tremendous improvement.
Seriously.
The story itself, I feel like maybe Nathaniel was looking for ways to proceed with the story.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we may have given him one.
Yeah.
Or who knows, maybe it was going that way already, but just the way that this kind of ends with, hey, I don't really know. I don't understand about how the whole thing went down. So how about you come back on this side and let's get a cup of coffee?
Mm-hmm.
That's like setting us up for basically kind of like what we were talking about, doing this partnership, this consultant gig for the cops.
Totally. And also I was almost wondering if the cop was just doing that to like give him something to get interested in.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, give him something to focus on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, I really, really like this story. I like the direction and I like what you're exploring here.
Same.
The content, him contemplating what he did.
Right.
And the ramifications of what he is thinking about doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I really was not expecting that direction here, and how quickly
I wasn't either.
And how quickly we moved past the mob boss's daughter.
Right.
Like that was just basically to close out what was happening in the previous story.
Mm-hmm.
We moved just right by that.
Or it could be introducing a new character.
Oh yeah, yeah, but
later.
Specifically for this story, I guess.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. I really like this. I like what this is setting us up for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I do
too.
have questions.
Yeah, I have questions as well. But I really I honestly enjoyed this installment more than I have any others.
Yeah.
And I don't know why or what it is about the story, but I just like really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's exploring some complicated issues.
Yes.
And it's trying to draw insight from that. And it's just this detective saying, well, look, man, I don't know.
Right.
Like, you've got all these big questions. I don't have answers for this. And basically just offers, like, try to do something.
Yeah.
It's a very human interaction.
It is.
And I think that's what I like about it. It feels very human and very, very true to life.
Yes.
I say true to life. I don't know any.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true to life, actually, but I don't know. Honestly, like, part of the way that the cop was responding to him almost sounded like he was almost like lessening, like minimizing what Bill had done, just because he was like, yeah, well, it was a mistake, you know? And I know he was talking about the girl that died, but still it's like, well, you locking them up in the basement was not a mistake, you know? He almost seemed to be minimizing it, like, yeah, you know, everybody makes mistakes, and it's okay.
I feel like the mistake was more in reference to the murder.
Yeah, it was, but still.
Yeah. Yeah, I follow what you're saying there. And yeah, it seems like he's minimizing that in order to try and get him to cooperate.
Yeah.
And whatever his motivations are for why he wants him to cooperate is still a little unknown. Based off of what we've read before, I don't know that this detective character, and I can't remember his name, I don't know that this detective character would necessarily do it to just be kind, to just say something kind, just the way he talks about these other idiots. Or maybe he is trying to be kind. Maybe he really does respect Bill for the intelligence that he shows.
Yeah.
It seems like the biggest or the most negative thing he can say about other people is calling them idiots.
Right.
So it's like he really values intelligence. So maybe that's all it is. He can respect Bill.
Yeah, maybe so.
But the paragraph where we're talking about, it begins, for a second, I lunge forward to stop him, but then I think maybe I should let this happen. I really like that you explore this idea I like that you that you characterize
Mm-hmm.
this detective in this light.
Mm-hmm.
It's doing a lot for this story, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because it's adding a lot of complexity and it's cluing us into what we need to be thinking about Bill.
Right.
It's like, yes, he's in a very low spot right now, and the implications of what you've set up is like he's maybe thinking about killing himself, and he basically admits to that.
Mm-hmm.
How true that is, we don't know. But just the same, exploring this idea and giving it a full paragraph of our point of view character contemplating letting him do this and not trying to stop him. I think that was a wonderful choice to make. And for him to not act on that, it says a lot about our character here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that paragraph does a lot to characterize. It also does a lot to get us
for the cop not to act on
trying to stop Bill.
Right.
Yeah, because he never actually does anything. Eventually, Bill just comes back from it and basically later admits that he's like, I was too much of a coward to follow through with it. But giving us the insights into the detective character, I thought was a great touch.
I liked that too. The detective is just letting nature take its course.
Yeah.
Okay, so I also like that. Now, there was one thing that I wanted to point out. Mm-hmm. One question that I have about Bill is, does he actually feel guilt? Because it kind of seems like he does when he's like, I should just die because I've hurt so many people. But my question is, would a psychopath actually feel guilt?
Yeah. I have comments throughout saying this doesn't feel like psychopathic behavior. Mm-hmm. There's too much conscience to him.
Yeah.
So if his therapist did in fact diagnose him as a psychopath, either A, that's a very bad therapist, because this does not strike me as psychopathic behavior, or B, Bill is a great actor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That could very well be it. And that's what I was thinking. And hey, Bill, if he is super intelligent, might even know that the detective was following him. And that whole suicide attempt may have been a ruse.
Yeah. No, I actually put in a comment saying exactly that. The part after he approaches him, hey, what are you doing out here, Bill? It's pretty cold to be sitting on a bridge. And it immediately jumps into the dialogue from Bill. Well, detective, I can't help but think what my purpose here in life is. Mm-hmm. And I commented initially, I'd like a brief description of how Bill reacts here. Mm-hmm. Like physically reacts. Mm-hmm. Is he calm? Is he surprised? Does it seem like he may have expected this?
Because going right into, well, detective, it seems like he expected it.
Right.
And another thing that really gave me pause about Bill's current state was how he said, I was too busy playing with my other pets. So if someone was rehabilitated or had somehow changed in a way that would make society trust them, I feel like they would not be referring to humans as pets.
Yes. The only way that I think that could be read is if we have some sort of indication, some sort of dialogue tag that say, I was too busy playing with my other pets. Bill spat in disgust or something like that. Just some means of
disgusted with himself or something.
Yeah. Some means of characterizing that as him not just referring to these women as pets.
Right.
Which was, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah. Ew.
So I'd be interested to know more about what's going on in Bill's mind.
Yes, I would too. And to further muddy the waters, the very last line that we get is, I wouldn't want you catching a cold. Mm-hmm. Again, that's not psychopathic behavior.
No.
Like, you don't care. You're a psychopath.
Right. And also, to me, that's just a creepy thing to say.
It really is.
It's like a horror movie villain thing to say.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want you catching a cold.
Yeah. Wink, 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 wink,
yeah.
wink.
It's a little bit creepy. But also, I wondered why. Okay, also, it was like, well, Bill was wrong about that lady. You know?
Or so we think, yeah. She was carrying a Walther PPK. around, but it was also a terrible neighborhood. So
yeah, but we are given the impression that lady did not kill that guy, right? And so that would mean Bill isn't that smart, or he has some master plan.
I didn't think that about Bill's involvement with that.
Well, if Bill is as smart as we are to think he is.
Well, as far as we know, all that Bill did was identify her as standing out in that crowd at the time.
No, he said it was her.
I felt like I may just be misremembering it, but I felt like he said that it's just like, well, who is that person over there in the tracksuit? Seems awfully odd. I don't know that he necessarily called them out, but yeah, he heavily implied it. I think it was because the perpetrator will return to the crime scene, and I think that was his reasoning. Was like, they very well could be right here, and who is that over there? So if didn't just come out and say that's who it was, then it was heavily implied.
It was.
I also was interested. Could just be because we're asking you to write in 30 minutes, but the whole interaction with what's her name, Mia Orlovsky, comes across very abrupt, and we just move right through that very quickly. And what may have suffered from that is this, I guess you got me there. All right, fine, you're free to go. I feel like there would be a little bit more Q&A there. Because
that's okay, I gotta get out of here.
It's all right, go on, get
out of here.
Go on, get.
Yeah.
And then also, it could just be that we're setting up for some follow-up with this character and or her papa.
Right.
Because sounds like he's kind of a big deal. And even goes as far as to offer we'll turn a blind eye on your, or where was it?
Yeah, that seemed a bit too tidy.
Yeah, it wrapped up a little quickly.
It did.
And felt like it should be a little bit more complicated, and I don't know that it would have swung so quickly and effectively in Mia's favor as it did here, but
it gave me the impression that they definitely had interactions before.
Or at least he knew of Mia, because you've got to be kidding me, lady. You're Mia Orlovsky. So that sort of implies that maybe they haven't met, but she is very well known.
Right. Yeah, that was a bit, to me, that seemed a bit rushed.
Yeah.
And something that kind of could take away from the believability of the story.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do, if you were going to spend 30 minutes, maybe you spent 5 minutes here at the start, and then the rest was with Bill and our detective, which I think is where the time needed to be spent anyways. I think that interaction between them was more important to the story than anything that happened before it.
That's true. I also believe that it is a good rule of thumb to spend a little bit more time to connect the dots in a part before moving on to the main event.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well said. And yeah, you've exactly connected those dots for us to tie us back to what we had read prior and loop us back into this relationship with the detective and Bill. So
yeah.
Wonderful job, Nathaniel.
Great job. It was very fun to read, actually.
Vastly improved. Wonderful to read. And I want more.
You killing it, boy.
Yeah, you killing it. You killing it.
Okay, so next up, we've got the Prismatics 19.
With Hospital Visit.
Hospital Visit.
That feels like the wrong tone for this story.
You're right.
Air horn.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, you're right. That's inappropriate.
I apologize.
So Hospital Visit.
Yes.
What were your thoughts?
I loved it.
I did too.
I loved it. I really like, having spent so much time in a hospital, I really like descriptions of hospital stays, because I feel like I can relate.
It is well described, and it's not immediately obvious that this is a continuation either.
No, it's not.
Like you kind of have to read it. You have to read into it a good bit to even realize that this ties back to our previous story.
Yes.
And it takes a while to even get to a point that you could begin to realize this is a continuation.
Right. So, can you do like a 1-sentence synopsis of the previous story to remind our listeners?
So the previous story was following a man and a woman. We assume older people.
Yes.
And we get clues that the woman was dead.
Right.
And the man was having really horrible issues, lung problems, and it's following them around. Ultimately terminates with she isn't actually dead.
No, she's undead.
She is undead. We thought that meant zombie.
Right.
And you see one zombie, there's got to be, a few million others out there.
Yeah.
And it ends with the man essentially sacrificing both of them in flames and killing them both.
Yep. And well, then we take a turn.
We do.
A big one.
A big turn.
A big turn.
A big turn. We find Elizabeth here.
Yes.
Daughter to our two characters from last week. And we're given little clues that she's related to the characters from the previous story here. And mom comes and pays Elizabeth a visit, saying that, what exactly did she say? Do not go to the lake on the property. Let it die. So she was made sick by some obsidian thing on or in or something near the water. And we end with a phone call from the sheriff telling Liz that the fire that we read about last time was her mother and father. And yeah.
Don't you ever go back there, Elizabeth. I want you to promise that. You'll leave that pond alone and never sell our land. Let that thing sit alone like it has for so long. Let it die.
Yeah. Well read. Yeah.
Okay.
You're on a roll today. Yeah.
I'm in the mood to do some reading of some lovely stories.
This whole visit with mom to Elizabeth was so well played out. The dialogue between them is just so natural. Your father is doing just fine, and so am I. But Elizabeth Bernice Waldron, I need you to listen. She replied sharply, I need you to tell you how I got sick. It's important. I know this is all a bit much, but I need you to just listen, please. I really liked the inclusion of that in that paragraph just to give us some intrigue. It's like, oh, well, just like Elizabeth would perk up and be like, wow, what's wrong? Like what happened? You're doing the exact same thing for for the readers as well. It's just, I thought very well handled.
Yeah. There are some very creepy parts. Among them, they found her mother's body by the door, her teeth embedded into a board used to block it shut.
Oh, dear God. Yeah, that is... Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Oh, ouch.
That's just ouchie.
Ouchie. Oh, she's describing this obsidian thing that she found. It did something to me, Liz. It went into my brain. I saw it floating up out of the water, and then I saw flashes of things, horrible things, things no human was ever meant to see. Things made of eyes and slime and patience.
Ew.
What is that?
Ew.
That's amazing description.
It is.
Oh, that's so
eyes
well
and
done.
Slime and patience. That's horrifying.
Just the inclusion of patience. Why does that make it so much worse?
I don't know, but it does.
Because eyes and slime, you're like, yeah, okay. And then patience, it's like, oh, God.
It almost makes it sentient.
Yes, yeah.
Or...
like everlasting, immortal, evil. Ugh.
Like more powerful somehow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh.
That is creepy.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Things made of eyes and slime and patience. That's terrifying.
It is terrifying.
I don't want to see those things.
Don't go to this. Don't go to the pond.
I won't.
Let it die.
I will. Just give me the coordinates of where the pond is and I'll avoid it. Could you provide the coordinates, please?
Just so that we know to never go there.
Yes.
But yeah, we don't really get the clue that this was tying back to the previous story until I think our first real clue is she listened as the sheriff told her about the fire that had started that day. So if the fire had started that day, we're not actually talking with mom.
Or the person burning the fire wasn't actually mom.
Yeah, I suppose it could be someone else. I'm going to read it as, since we asked for a spirit story, that we were talking to the spirit of mom.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and based off of this obsidian thing,
Yeah.
that may be some ability that she gained from touching this thing. I don't know, this slime and eyes and patience.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool of her mom to come back and warn her,
Yeah. Yeah. And that she had the agency to do that in the first
Yes,
place.
exactly.
Yeah. I kept thinking to myself, I kept coming back to like the Alzheimer's thread,
Mm-hmm.
and that maybe this is a commentary on losing somebody to Alzheimer's.
Mhm.
Mom, Liz exclaimed, trying to shift her weight until pain shook off the gossamer curtain of sleep, which is lovely, by the
Yeah,
way.
I love that gossamer curtain of sleep. I love that.
And told her that her legs weren't working. A small grimace darkened her expression for a moment, but then a wave of tears and happiness broke that darkness, swallowed it whole. Made me think, like, I kept thinking, like, she's forgetting, like, can't remember. Oh, and then it comes back and she's happy, but it's also sad at the same time. I kept getting clues, but it never really paid off for me. So
Yeah.
I'm still not ruling it out, but I don't think that's what we're doing here, especially after what we learned at the end of this. I don't think that's kind of the message of this.
And if that isn't what we're doing, and if it is the spirit of her mom, I find that to be interestingly, a note of hopefulness. But then it ends on definitely not hopefulness. It ends on horror. But I almost feel like the mom is like, okay, why is she smiling? She's happy. So it's almost like her suffering has ended, maybe, Leanna?
Maybe, or she just needed to get this message out to Liz here.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that was what she just needed to do. She just needed to make sure that she told Liz about this.
Yes.
That way she didn't fall into the same trap. And now that she has done that, she can be free.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she's finishing her unfinished work.
Mm-hmm. That's essentially the premise for Ghosts, right? Finish what you couldn't.
Well, according to some people.
Okay. I figured, I was thinking like as a trope.
Yeah,
like as a ghost story.
It's a trope.
Yeah.
For sure.
Unfinished business.
For sure. Yeah.
All in all, I really like your story, Prismatics. This is
it's great.
It's a great addition, and you continue to just wow me with your descriptions.
Yes. Eyes
and slime and patience. Wow. That is very creative. Love that.
Me too. That's wonderful.
Love that.
I just love the creativity of the whole story. Yeah.
And despite all of the directions that we mentioned that it could go, people find them or, tell it backwards. The Prismatics came out with this, which is essentially the aftermath, but from a completely different perspective of the daughter, and include the spirit of mom. I love that.
It's fantastic.
I love the direction of that. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay. And next we have Chillaxin Yak with Reservations.
Yes. All right. So, wow. First of all, well played on the bookend, the reservation bookends.
Yeah. Yeah. Very symmetrical there.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think I've had a bad entry from this story yet.
I haven't either.
I'm just enjoying the ride at this point.
Same.
But yeah, just in general, I love the way you're using the Navajo Nation.
Yes.
With this story.
I really was thinking about the fact that there was this woman. She was staggering. She looked lost. Her clothes were torn. Her face was smeared with dirt and blood. And it's like, okay, it's like you can't win for losing, If you don't help her, you're an asshole. If you do help her, you're fucked.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, man, what are we supposed to think when there's all these entities trying to deceive us? I would definitely have helped her as well and then been fucked.
Well, right. And even if it sounds like even if he hadn't.
Well, he said the magic words, the incantation.
Right.
Which is what kind of released her from her mortal coil. Yeah.
And okay. So I was actually kind of confused about that as well. Is it anybody can just say these words, you think, and become this.
It sounds like you have to have somebody else say them for you. Or maybe this guy has some special powers because she had to have him say the words.
Yeah, but she didn't say them to him.
No.
And yet he still became a skinwalker in turn. It made me think that it was just this process, this prayer, as they're calling it here, that is needed. I'm kind of curious, like not that it's really that important, like the underlying mechanics of it all.
Matt wants to know how to actually do this.
How do I do this?
He wants to do this.
How do I
Can you
do
please
this?
give us a detailed blueprint?
Please.
With instructions.
Yeah, a guide.
Yeah.
A map.
A step-by-step.
A step-by-step.
A play-by-play.
How to become a cryptid for dummies.
Yes, exactly.
But I love the inclusion of this prayer that we get both the English version and, well, I guess it is all English.
It is.
But I can't even say this word.
Yi naldushi. No, nadlushi. You know what? I wonder if they have the ish sound that's in Mongolian, and I kind of think they do.
It reminds me of Nahuatl.
Okay, well, I think a lot of
Nahuatl
those like
is native
languages have the ish sound.
Yeah.
Like nadlushi. Maybe.
Nadlushi.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Nadlushi.
Either way, it just.
Nadlushi.
I'm fascinated by that aspect of your story here.
Me too, but it actually does look kind of, in a way, parts of it look similar to Mongolian with like the extended vowels.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're right. Every vowel is doubled.
Yeah. Nadlushi. Yi nadlushi.
Huh.
Yeah.
Don't say it too much. You'll turn into a skinwalker.
This clay is not hardened in the kiln. Yi nadlushi will carry us safely across the plain. I'm not going to say it 2 more times.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't worry.
Just out of sheer
caution.
Caution, yeah.
Yes. I shan't.
And the way you described, they rolled off of my tongue. The words she had given me felt wrong, ancient, like something that shouldn't be spoken aloud.
Mm-hmm.
They rolled off my tongue awkwardly, foreign, each symbol heavy with meaning I couldn't grasp, but I said them. And as I did, the air around us shifted. I just think it's a great way to build the suspense of what we've been reading. And not that what we have been reading wasn't necessarily suspenseful, but just the description of how it felt to say them, I thought worked very well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I did like the way that you described the air around us. The air around us shifted. I felt like that was a very subtle way of invoking a trope instead of, like Beauty and the Beast, how his beastly body swirls up into the leaves, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
I know that you know what I'm talking about.
I know,
Okay. So, yeah, I just felt like it was a very subtle, it just did not sound cliche in a time that it would have been very easy to sound cliche.
It's a very, very simple clue.
Yes.
That something is happening around them.
Mm-hmm.
Without being too overly cliche. Yeah.
Yes. A novel description of an old trope.
Yes. Also, a couple paragraphs later, but then her hand, still clutching my wrist, began to change. Her fingers twisted, elongating unnaturally, her nails sharpening into claws that dug painfully into my skin. Her face rippled, the pale skin pulling tight over her skull as her eyes darkened into pits of pure obsidian.
Yeah.
Wonderful descriptive paragraph.
Yeah, that was great.
Well done.
I would just die.
I'd just die. And I wonder if this is where Chilaxinyak may have began, because I think this is every word.
Mm-hmm.
Or every word needed.
Right.
So I think, we get obsidian,
we get
rippled. And
we get, that's
Is that it?
That's it.
I was thinking there was another one in there. Maybe not.
That is it. I like how she says, "Welcome to the res."
Yeah, I said metal as fuck.
That's fucking metal.
That's fucking metal. Welcome to the res, she hissed.
Yes.
And then without warning, her body jerked unnaturally. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Me too.
Yeah.
And the description of like her limbs bending at impossible angles. That's just scary.
That's scary. That's real scary.
Scared.
But yeah, so that that's essentially what happens in the first half. And we move on, like, obviously Rook turns into a skinwalker after this as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we do move into Egan's perspective again.
Yes, we do.
Aboard the Aurora.
Mm-hmm.
And this is some 23 years later.
Yeah.
That we're in Egan's perspective. So that really framed it all out for me.
Mm-hmm.
This one did. And I think...
Yeah, it like has set the timeline kind of.
Yeah, it's exactly set the timeline. Because now we have definitive dates and locations and everything. Which actually I think that works really well.
Mm-hmm.
Like even going back on doing edits, I think maybe save this moment. Like I think the obscurity of the timeline and even the kind of not necessarily clear who our point of view character was, believe it or not, that actually kind of worked.
Yeah.
So moving us into Egan's perspective here with dates, and we kind of understand, we're starting to get the real gist of it, and then you officially frame us. You've got Rook, who was set out, 23 some odd years ago from Egan's timeline to find these skinwalkers, and now here 23 years later, we've got Egan on his back trail. Kind of sniffing him out.
Exactly.
So I really like this kind of almost detective story of Egan trying to decipher what's happened.
Egan's trying to figure it out. What happened here?
Oh, I really like this. The names didn't matter. They were placeholders for something far more profound, more dangerous.
Yeah, it's like, oh God, what's coming?
Yeah, what's coming? And also I think that's doing a lot of work characterizing Egan as well as very analytical, almost clinical.
Yeah.
Just the name, it's not important. What's important is just what they are.
I really like the insertion of the Jersey Devil here.
Oh, that's who the blue-eyed devil was that we read about. Yeah.
But I don't know why, but that name is just really creepy to me.
Jersey Devil.
Yeah. I honestly I like the Sasquatch being included here as this like vicious character,
which I think is who fought the Jersey Devil.
Yeah,
that was supposed to be Sasquatch.
Yes,
which I thought that was actually, to go back on that, I thought that was a very creative description in that fight scene of Sasquatch.
Yeah,
not at all what But
what
anyways,
you think of as Sasquatch.
Yeah, you think of like hides away at the first sign of like anything.
Timid.
Yeah,
he's always walking really fast to get under like tree cover.
Yeah. I also thought this was interesting. Yeah, you mentioned Jersey Devil. At the end of that paragraph, he says they were weapons. And that makes me wonder if that was the intent. Because we still don't know the official reason why they're looking for cryptids or trying to make cryptids, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But that kind of clued me into maybe that was the whole reason behind them doing this in the first place, was because they are weapons they could use.
Yeah.
And then, we get our bookend. I had no more reservations.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. It's like, damn, what's next?
Yep. And I believe Chillax and Yak said that they're approaching a terminus, I believe. So
I didn't see that.
I don't know that we're necessarily at the end.
Yeah.
But I think that we're maybe nearing it. So
great.
Excellent. Thank you, Chillax and Yak.
Thank you, Chillax and Yak. That was a great read as usual.
As usual.
As always.
And next.
Yes, next we've got A Ray of Light by Walker by Fate.
Yes, so quite the shift here.
Quite the shift. I really did enjoy reading this.
I did
wondering
too.
Where it was going to go. Man, I really thought that Ray was going to be dead. That was her disembodied spirit observing everything.
Yeah, I was just kind of at sea with this whole thing starting out and not really sure what we were doing. But we get clued in that she's watching all of this from the ceiling. I don't know why. It kind of gave me a weird soap opera vibes for some reason. Like the it almost comes across as like mildly absurd, like her watching from the ceiling, like sitting on a chair on the ceiling looking down and nobody sees her. I don't know why. If you've seen Schitt's Creek, there's a scene where they're talking about Moira's in Sunrise Bay and they're like, why is nobody looking up? Because she's trapped in a cave on the ceiling. But that's what it made me think of. But anyways, that's a complete aside. That's not to say that the tone comes across as like a soap opera. It just made me think of that.
Interesting. That's a hot take.
That's a weird hot take, but I think it's just my recency bias from Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like the shift. I like all of everything described in the italics is doing a lot of lovely descriptions here. And yeah, actually, I'm just going to hit this first paragraph. She watched as the tall man reached out and clicked a button on the small Obsidian device sitting on the otherwise blank metal desk. She didn't know where she was or why she was viewing this scene from above, as though she hovered at the ceiling. Her sight and hearing wavered, the waves of light and sound coming to her as a ripple on gossamer wings. Lovely description.
Yes.
Yeah, and it continues throughout in all of these italics are just doing a lot of good work here. Yes. But we do learn that she is essentially observing the interrogation of Max and Sam.
Yes.
Yeah.
At first, I was confused. I was like, wait, has Sam also imprisoned Max in the basement? Because it's like she watched and Max sat bolt upright in the metal chair, her hands clasped in front of her, the metal rings binding her wrists. And I was like, oh no, so Sam is actually the villain here. And he's, because Ray is tied up in the basement.
Oh.
And so when I first read that part, I was like, oh, is Max now also tied up in the basement?
Right, because we're not sure the situation here.
Yeah, but then when it says she gave off the aura of one who knows more than the man across from her, I thought, is Max faking like she's tied up in the basement along with Ray, and that Sam did it in order to make Ray comply with giving her the offspring?
That's wild.
I know.
I got it right away.
Oh my God.
Because my name is Chief Deputy Aaron Sperling of the Central County Sheriff's Department. For the record, this is an intake interview and statement recording.
Well, I got it at that point too.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I was just kind of along for the ride until we got to that point, and then it started to click home at that point.
Right.
So, but yeah, so Max is being interrogated by Chief Deputy Aaron Sperling. Mm-hmm. And her name is Edna Maxine Hollingsworth.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a mouthful.
That is. And also it made me wonder, what is our time setting here? Because I have never met anyone under the age of 100 named Edna.
I just think Edna Mold from The Incredibles.
I don't remember that.
Anyways,
okay.
She's the one who makes their super suits.
Okay.
Edna Mold.
Is she owed?
I mean, it's a cartoon.
But does she seem owed?
She seems wise.
Okay.
So,
wizened,
yes.
Wizened.
Yeah, the description that we get of how Max is handling this interview is very clearly she's not telling them everything, because, I mean, we know that she's not being truthful with them, not being forthcoming whatsoever. And we, at the end of her interview, learn that they found a severed human hand in the basement. What?
Right.
But we move away from this interrogation, and then we find out Ray says, Ray, that's my name. She remembered it uncertainly, watching as Max began to squirm under the chief deputy's questions. I actually thought this was a little awkward. The obsidian box with the light-emitting diode display counting upward in time. I think that's verbose for the sake of being verbose. Just call it LED.
Yeah.
I think that might be alienating and a little confusing.
It was definitely confusing to me.
Yeah, so just call it an LED display. I think that's more in line with how Ray would perceive this device, as it's an LED display, not a light-emitting diode. But just the same, I really like that we have this transition from Max's interrogation to Sam's.
Yes.
And the way it's described is lovely.
Yeah.
And then we get Mr. Hollingsworth. When did you first become aware that your wife had a woman locked in your basement? And Sam is clearly very nervous, stuttering, having trouble. He says, "Did you think I should get a lawyer? Don't you? Should I?" Yeah. They basically convince him, like, we would appreciate it if you were cooperative.
If you comply.
Yeah, I think they specifically say cooperative on your file, that you were cooperative.
Yeah, and then they go back to some other people talking. And that's where I found it's like, where do you think they left the rest of the Vic? A woman said. And at that point, I was like, oh, Ray dead.
Or maybe they're assuming.
Yeah, that's just my immediate where I went.
Yeah.
In my mind, I thought, okay, Ray did not saw off her hand and escape. She's dead because we're talking about the rest of her. But then that was all wrong anyway. So whatever.
Yeah. So what do you think we're doing here? Do you think that this is just like a fever dream from as a result of the sedative that Ray was given?
It almost seems like a prophetic dream.
It does feel prophetic, yes.
Because then she awoke, the dream replaying in her head. Am I dead? And then she's like, she would get out of this, and they, Max especially, would pay.
Yeah.
So that was a very prophetic dream, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I do think that this is meant to be some sort of future seeing. Yeah. And actually, I think Walker by Faith may have even said as much or hinted at as much in a comment. Let me see if I can find it. The idea came for astral projection or dream walking, as it were, kind of a prophecy vibe. Yes. A version of the future where Ray is vindicated if not saved. Of course, it was all in her head.
Yeah.
So while it may sound and feel like prophecy, whether or not it actually goes that way remains to be seen.
Yes.
So.
I'm excited to see what's going to happen with it.
I am too. I really liked this direction.
Me too.
That was a very creative take on the spirit prompt, and I really dig that.
Yeah, totally.
Very original. So, all right. Thank you, Walker by Faith.
Thank you, Walker by Faith.
Thank you very much.
So good. So good.
So good. So good.
So good. Okay, so we are now moving on to The Kelpie by Nick to You.
Yes. And Nick to You, I hope you don't mind. I actually pulled your comment. You'd mentioned if I could go back, I would title it The Kelpie. So I did that here.
That was so sweet of you.
Don't hate me if that wasn't what you wanted. But
or did Matt just totally destroy your creative flow? He's sorry.
I am so sorry.
Okay, so I loved the story.
I did too. And this was wild.
Yeah. It was so wild.
Out of left field.
It was so out of left field. I had never heard of a Kelpie before.
Me neither. Did you like research, dig into him at all?
I did.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I loved the Kelpie, and I would absolutely be a victim of the Kelpie.
Yeah,
absolutely in a heartbeat.
I knew you were gonna say that.
How did you know?
Because there were so many parts in this. I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
I like this horse." And it turns out, it's trying to kill me.
Yeah, and with me, it would absolutely succeed. But you know what? I feel like I would go out happy.
Maybe if drowning is your thing.
Drowning is supposed to be one of the most peaceful deaths.
Is it?
Yes. Yeah, you just kind of get warm and you kind of just fall asleep.
And then away you are.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess technically it's asphyxiation.
For the first couple of minutes, it's agony, like sheer agony.
Yeah.
But there at the end, it's apparently orgasmic.
Oh.
And by apparently, I mean allegedly. And by allegedly, I mean from what I hear.
Hypothetically. Okay.
Hypothetically speaking.
Yeah. This story is so meta. I don't know quite what to do with it.
Okay.
Okay, so it all comes around at the end. So rough synopsis. We've got this guy, he finds this horse,
yes,
and decides to camp because he thinks, this is safe. Because if it's safe enough for this horse, it's safe enough for me.
Right.
And this horse proceeds to essentially lead him down the river, and the whole time he's just content to follow. He's drinking. He's kind of in a shitty mood, or maybe he's just kind of a shitty person. Like that's just who he is, or that's who she is. I don't know.
What makes you think that they are a shitty person?
Not that they are a shitty person. They are a person of a shitty mood like they are just regularly in a shitty mood.
Are they?
At the very first line, the forest was beautiful and lush and verdant, and I was in a shitty mood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and just kind of generally throughout, we get this kind of attitude from our point of view character here, and eventually, what we know now as a Kelpie kind of puts them in better spirits. They start singing and just singing and having a good time. And they eventually end up dancing with this Kelpie, which was adorable, by the way.
I
Like,
loved that.
so much of this just rings like, oh, this is so sweet. But it turns out, no, this is bad.
Well,
This is real bad.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, okay, I'm going to level with you here. I greatly identify with this character.
Okay.
Not about the shitty mood part, but just about the like wandering and having a great time. Like, yeah, I'm going to get drunk today. And dancing with a Kelpie, you know? Not that I've ever done that, but I would love to.
Yeah.
I identified and I felt, and I read some of the comments on this story, like, oh, poor guy. But I'm just like, man, I think this guy has a great life. That's what it seemed like to me.
Yeah. I would think that you are this person so long as they're under the influence of this Kelpie.
Right.
If that makes sense.
No.
So this person seems to like really open up and kind of liven up a lot under the influence of this. What is like a fae.
That's true. Yes.
So I feel like you just kind of have that attitude, that aloof kind of.
Thank you. So maybe I am
free spirit.
Maybe I actually am a Kelpie.
Oh God.
Oh no. Is that possible?
Moving on.
Let's go to the beach.
You try to drown everybody?
Yes.
But eventually he pulls a gun on this horse.
Yeah.
And shoots it after it talks.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not want to continue down the river? The horse asked, its voice raspy and cold. And I said, whoa, what?
That was out of left field.
So far out of left field. But, and then, okay, so the last line we get here, I had no desire to head down an intended path and become a metaphor of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's number 2 of things that clued me into how meta this was.
Yes, that's very meta.
Yeah, so the first was the story I was in regaining a sense of happiness, enjoying the simple things in life. Our character knows they're in a story.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily know what part they're playing, but they know they're in a story. It's very, very interesting. Not necessarily unique. I've read other stories where the characters know they were in a story.
You know what that kind of reminds me of is that one show. What was that show with like the Rachel Evan Wood?
Westworld?
Yes.
Yeah.
And like the kind of main character guy.
Yeah, played by Ed Harris.
Something like that.
Oh, and there's, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And knowing that he was like playing a part in a story. You know?
And them slowly coming to realize it as well.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to know if that's what we're doing here. This does also feel like it could be a part of another story that Nick, you brought us. I don't know if you remember, but the one with the it was like a minotaur. It had the scarf of cowbells.
Oh yeah.
This reminded me of that because just because we get fae routinely, and it made me wonder if this was that same character or not.
Oh, okay. Yes, it could be.
Yeah, nothing concrete to point us to that other than the fact that there are fae.
Right.
And
this guy traveling alone.
Yes. Or this character.
Yeah. It was very shocking when they were just like, no, and shot the horse.
Yeah.
I was like,
no,
what?
I said, and I shot the horse.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the horse talked. And then they were like, no, and I shot the horse. And it fell over smoothly. Cool.
Smoothly and disintegrated into ash and blew away.
Yeah.
Further evidence that
it's a Kelpie.
Was not a horse.
That was no horse.
That was no horse, despite how adorable it was to picture them dancing together.
And I think it's great that the main character was able to enjoy the pleasures of the horse while not being undone by it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah, this line. The horse's coat stayed wet all day.
Yeah.
When night came, the horse once again played in the river, raucously prancing around and neighing.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
It is so cute.
But obviously they know that.
Yeah.
Trying to draw you in.
Exactly. And it just gave me this like urge all day to stroke a damp horse pelt.
Weird.
Which
it's
is
a weird thing to say.
To the horse. I wanted to stroke the flank of a dappled horse.
A dappled horse.
Damp and dappled.
Damp and dappled.
Yeah. I feel like it would be so soft. So smooth.
So smooth.
So silky.
Well, one day we'll get you a damp and dappled horse flank.
Oh, that would be lovely. Well, one attached to a horse, though. I want it to be alive.
Yes,
right.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. NICU, a lot of fun. I love the meta aspect of this. Yeah, that was so much fun to read.
It was very fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So moving on, Haunting Memories by Successful Read 6361.
Indeed.
So I'd like to start by asking you, Matt, what did you think about this story?
I really did like this story.
Mm-hmm.
I did have trouble following it a little bit, but because it's in the perspective of a child, I can forgive a lot of what threw me off because it's in the perspective of a child.
Yes.
So in general, Successful Read, I think that this was a very captivating read. I think that it captured what you wanted it to. And the only reason I say that is because whenever I finished this, I thought to myself, this feels like a memory of a child. Like this is how somebody might remember some childhood memory, some childhood, maybe not trauma, but like a waking nightmare, or something like that. And turns out, Successful Read commented saying basically as much, and I was like, that. Yeah, it exactly came across that way. There were some very interesting descriptions. Describing all of the church setting and the yards and everything worked out very well. Like you put us in the setting very effectively.
Yeah,
I had played here many times before, always by myself, because I was the youngest and by default annoying for my older siblings. Twirling around lost in my make-believe game, my gossamer blonde hair rippled in the breeze. It's the second gossamer hair we got.
Yes, gossamer blonde.
Gossamer blonde. Yeah, you're right. Spun and spun until the world turned into something new. I think that may have been what clued me into that this might be a memory. I spun and spun because I think we've learned that Successful Read is a dancer.
Yes.
So that's kind of what made me think like maybe this is mildly nonfiction.
Right. Well, but also, I mean, I'm sadly not a dancer.
And yet you spin and spin, yeah.
Well, when I was little, I did.
Yeah.
Now, well, I still do sometimes, but it makes me very dizzy. But, that was really fun when we were little, like just to spin around as much as you can and then fall on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I do dance like, I do like the electric slide and stuff like that.
The electric slide.
And the Cupid shuffle.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Is that the Cupid shuffle?
Yeah. I think that's it.
Yes.
Anyway, I felt like there was a point that I wanted to clear up some description because I felt like it was so close. It was so close. It was describing standing in the middle of the side yard. I followed the sound closer to the side of the tall sanctuary. I think it sat taller because the building attached to the sanctuary sat on top of a basement. Little windows lined the sides just above the ground, but no windows dotted the sanctuary. Instead, there were sets of 3 small vertical slits spaced every so many feet apart. I don't know why. That description was hard for me to grok. And
grok?
Grok, yeah.
I don't know that word.
Grok?
No.
Grok. Definition. Verb. Understand something intuitively or by empathy.
What? Is that GROCK?
GROK.
Oh my God.
Where does grok come from?
I never heard that word.
The informal verb grok was an invention of the science fiction writer Robert A. Heinlein. Yeah.
Okay, but when was that? When?
1961.
Man, I'm embarrassed.
So I was struggling with that description a little bit, and I felt like it was so close. And so I was actually going to see if we could explore how can we say that a little bit better.
Okay, so let's see here. But no windows dotted the sanctuary. I think you could say something like the only windows were found just above the ground. or something like that.
Yeah, the walls were empty, save for little windows near the ground to the basement of the church,
Yeah.
or something like that. It just felt like it was moving us through fairly quickly,
Uh-huh.
but that part seemed like the pacing really kind of slowed down a little bit, just to try and get us this description of the setting. And so I was thinking there's a better way and a more concise way to describe that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just modifying that description could really pay off a lot.
Yeah.
Towards the pacing of your story.
Mm-hmm. But I do agree with you that it seems like a memory of a child, just because the way things are described. And I really love in the last paragraph where it's like, Clara, there you are you ready to leave? My beautiful mother asked. I love that because I think that as I can't speak for little boys, but at least as little girls, we feel like our mothers are the most beautiful person on the planet.
Yeah, okay.
And so I really love, I remember at church, even though my mom is not really a singer, but she did sing, but I just thought she had, like, she was like a rock star. Like, she had the best voice that I had ever heard in my life. You know, just like idolizing our moms like that. I really like how you kind of depicted that.
Yeah, captured. Yeah, you really captured that feeling.
Yes, I love that.
No, I love there's so many things that keep us rooted in the perspective of a child.
Mm-hmm. Like the icky
on my skin. Like when I first read that, I was like, that's really cute. And I was like, and it works exactly the way it's supposed to. Keeps us in this childish perspective.
Exactly. It's in a very childish perspective, and I love that.
Yes. All in all, successful read. I really think that this is a great description of a kind of waking nightmare for a child. At least that's what it feels like. The come play with me. I just get come play with us, Danny.
Yes.
You know,
come play with us, Danny.
So it certainly is creepy.
Yes.
Near the top, the third paragraph, you have giggling with glee. My attention was diverted when I heard a small voice call my name. I looked around me, but did not find the source. I actually think that is important enough that it needs. I just want to say like a paragraph break. Like I need something to clue me in that this is like something important is happening right here, because it's so easy to just gloss right past that.
That's true. Unless you are intentionally trying to bury it.
Yeah, if you're trying to obfuscate
there you go.
The intent there, then that's a great place to leave it. But
yes,
if you want to draw our attention to the fact that somebody was calling this character's name, put it on its own paragraph, or just call more attention to it somehow. Or maybe don't include it with the sentence giggling with glee. My attention was diverted.
Yes,
put it like right at the start of a sentence. I don't know. There's a lot of ways to do that.
There are, for sure.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. There's a lot of ways to do that. I just enjoyed the whole like childlike perspective of everything, you know?
All right, moving on.
Yeah.
We have Steve Living Room with the Contentment Rose Origin story.
Woo!
I love the direction that this puts on not just this story, but the other stories that are associated with it.
Yes.
This is our overarching conflict.
It is. We finally got the overarching conflict.
Yeah, and it's not at all what I would have expected. I mean, we thought something was up, obviously, something was up with this Not Rose. And to find out that it is contentment itself.
Yep. As an entity.
Imbued in its entirety.
Yeah.
Into this rose to make it a Not Rose.
Yes.
To make it the Contentment Rose.
Right.
Fascinating. Very fascinating. And it lends so much credit to your titles. Yeah. And it fit beautifully. I really liked that.
It made me wonder if this was your plan all along.
Yeah.
It's very just, I just love the personification of all of these things, you know?
And the descriptions that we get of contentment, known as Con, and chill, known as Chi.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fun.
Con and Chi.
I felt like that was a play on words. Chill going by chi.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
I really liked that. I thought that was very, very creative, very clever.
Yeah.
But I just like the interaction that we have with them here on this beach. And it really obviously harks us back to the first story where the rose was found.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a lovely reaction, a lovely interaction between these two ideas,
Mm-hmm.
these personified ideas
Yeah.
on this beach.
I almost want to like read into it and be like, okay, so are we saying that chill is kind of somehow superior to contentment?
How so? How would you read it that way?
Just because chill is like the last man standing.
But I mean, contentment did this all entirely by choice.
That's true.
Yeah. I've been thinking about humans a lot. You know this.
Uh-huh.
They have so many stresses and burdens. So many younglings are affected by anxiety. I want to help them.
Yeah.
Also, younglings.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Is that just a Star Warsism? Are there cultures that call children younglings?
Well, of course, it would be in a different language, unless we're talking about cultures that speak English.
Yeah, I was just thinking specifically English. I know in Star Wars they call them younglings.
Younglings.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a word outside of Star Wars, honestly.
Okay.
I really like the description of Khan's face glowing with golden tears streaming down her body. I really liked to visualize that. Eyes twinkling, happy and sad at the same time. I loved that visual that you gave us there.
Yeah. I really like how Khan is just kind of waxing on about how they want to help and just be doing more. And I just really like that inclusion that you give it time, you give it space to let contentment say all of these things before jumping into this seems like self-sacrifice.
Yes.
For what we assume or hope will be the betterment of whoever comes across this rose.
Yeah.
Which so far is entirely what happens.
Yeah, but it really makes me wonder about the like kind of setup of this. Like, okay, so is contentment are humans deprived of contentment until contentment sacrifices herself to humans?
Yeah, I have a similar question. Is contentment gone from the world?
Yeah.
Until you come into contact with this not rose now?
Right. Like, is contentment over? Like, is contentment giving their gift of contentment to humans and then is now gone? Or was contentment keeping everything to herself until she put it all into this rose?
Yeah, it raises some kind of existential questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it also makes me think about chill. Like, is chill withholding his gift from humans? Or is chill giving chillness to humans in his state of being?
Yeah, unclear. And I don't know that it's necessarily important. I think the symbology behind contentment imbuing into the rose is the sort of the climax of this story, and them being found by our first point of view character, and that Chill is following to see what happens from here on. So I feel like we're setting up to maybe learn more about these questions. Maybe we'll learn later that Chill has been affecting these people around, and it wasn't just contentment. And that because Chill is following all of this around, that maybe they have had some sort of role in how things have played out as well.
Yeah.
Just from a distance and much less directly.
Right.
So what the implications of contentment being reduced to this not rose, which is flourishing now, as of part 4, I want to say, that maybe it's a means of spreading contentment in a means that were not possible up until this moment.
Yeah, there has to be some type of a shift here. Something was either possible before and now is not, or was not possible before and now is. Like something dramatic has happened.
Yeah, some sort of trade-off. Yeah.
Yes. And I can't help but thinking of Prometheus.
Yeah.
In reading this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Giving gifts to humans, you know? But in that case, humans were brand new. According to some myth, he created them out of clay.
Yeah.
And so they were just kind of there And then he was the one who gave them, the gift of hope. And
And fire, no?
yeah, and fire.
Yeah.
But related to the gift of hope, or maybe kind of the same thing, he gave them the ignorance of their mortality.
Ah.
Yeah. Kind of like, well, yeah, we know we're going to die, but we live every day as though we're not going to die.
Yeah.
So he gave us that ability.
Hmm.
Anyway, but the reason that it was able to happen like that is because humans were a new thing. You know?
Yeah.
So he didn't have to sacrifice. Well, he did sacrifice himself for the fire,
Mm-hmm.
getting chained to that rock and all.
And getting his lever.
His leverage.
his liver pecked out for all eternity by a
eagle. Every day. Every damn day.
Yeah. Do you see Chaos?
No.
I'm devastated because they canceled it after the first season, but
no. Oh, you mean Jeff Goldblum?
Yes.
Oh yeah. I haven't seen it yet. Is Prometheus in there?
Yeah. He's the narrator.
What? Okay. All right, I'm gonna have to see that. Yeah, and why did they cancel it?
Because they couldn't afford the cast that was doing so wonderfully.
Okay.
Fools.
Yeah.
Fools.
Well, I've never seen it, but I do love me some Goldblum.
Oh, the whole cast is delightful. The entire show is delightfully written. Yeah, this is just a blanket recommendation. Go watch Chaos. Even though it's just one season, it was wonderful. I loved every bit of it.
Amazing.
But yeah, I like your comparison to Prometheus.
Yes.
Because I do think we need some sort of trade-off, or there is some sort of trade-off. We just haven't seen it yet.
Right.
So what that may end up being.
It just makes me wonder about what was the state of humanity before this happened.
Right. Yeah. Is it just humanity as we know it now? And then we can draw the differences from what we experience every day versus what Steve is telling us in this story. That is the difference that we see in our everyday lives. But at the same time, I'd be curious to know what's different on the other side of the veil, heavy air quotes, what changed.
Or there's also the chance that contentment is like a phoenix, constantly being destroyed and then rising up again out of the ashes.
Yeah.
So maybe contentment is constantly giving these gifts, like the rose.
Yeah.
And disintegrating.
Yeah.
And then rising up and doing it again.
Who knows?
Who in the hell knows?
I don't, but I do know I really like this story.
Me too.
I really like the direction of it and the context that you give us for the overarching idea, the conflict.
Yeah, it helps us understand, get a kind of a baseline for what's going on.
Yeah, it gives us a kind
focal point,
a bird's eye view.
A bird's eye
of everything.
Yeah.
Lovely story. Thank you, Steve Livingham.
Thank you, Steve. Loved that.
Yes. All right, who's next?
Next up, we've got Richie Posner with The Forest Spirit of Forgotten Childhood.
Yeah. I dig this story.
Mm-hmm.
This is a hell of a thing.
Yeah, it is.
The descriptions that we get for everything are so specific.
Yeah.
And it's so surreal. The whole thing is just otherworldly.
Yeah. And
I have so many questions, but I don't feel like there are any answers to be given for any of my questions. Who is this?
Some hottie.
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 Yeah, dear Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
The loins tremble.
Yep. The lip trembled.
The lip trembled. Yeah. But all of the descriptions we get, I felt lust wash over me from the pit formed in my stomach. It burned deep and dark the way that only lust can, hiding away in my lower abdomen and threatening to fold me over.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Yeah. That was a great description.
A great description, and you hit us with it right first thing. Wow.
Yeah. That was great.
And it just keeps going. I whimpered and my lip trembled in fear and arousal.
Yeah. That's some intense arousal that will make you whimper.
Yeah. It's so specific and descriptive. I feel like so much of the language is laced in euphemism.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say double entendre because I don't know that it feels like that was just the point. Like, even just come to me.
Yeah.
I whispered, lip trembled in fear and arousal. And then just the sheer dedication of our point of view character, I stepped forward fully expecting that I would slip off the end of the world and tumble through space for eternity. I didn't. All of this just to get to whoever this is. Again, surreal, otherworldly.
Yeah, it almost seems to be some type of god or something.
Yes. And I
Some
want to
type of
circle back to that.
deity. Yeah.
I cried out at his frame enveloped me, and I buckled, falling to my knees in penitence. Again, making me think like god-like figure, like penitent. Makes me think of Indiana Jones, penitent before God.
Yes.
Verdant eyes bore through my soul. There's so much wonderful language in here. I sobbed maniacally and kissed the tops of his feet.
Yeah. Yeah. It's heavy.
It's very heavy, and it plays so much on this this lust, this arousal, this sexuality. Like he kissed my forehead and my body danced with electricity. I was home.
Yeah.
It's this person is or this entity, this character is so seductive.
Yes. And this person is so at their mercy.
Yeah. I felt my soul writhe with pleasure and abandon. He massaged the hollow behind my earlobes.
Yeah.
This is delightful.
It is so delightful.
This is so good.
It is so good.
It's captivating. The language just draws you deeper and deeper into this story. It's been so hard without you, and I thought, like that's kind of a innuendo.
Yeah, innuendo, yeah.
So that reads it's been so hard without you. That kind of reads like an innuendo.
Right.
But it's absolutely appropriate.
In this case,
the whole thing kind of is innuendo.
Yeah.
But it's very clever.
Yeah, so I want to delve in a little bit.
Yes, please do.
What is this? I almost, because at first it's like, okay, this lover type of character, but then it's like saying godlike things.
Yeah.
Like, I am with you. I've always been with you, or something like, I'll never leave you. Things like that, you know? And then it kind of seems like it's a tree. But then I kind of wonder if it's Dionysus.
I asked at the very end of this, I said, is this Bacchus?
You didn't.
I did. Look at the last highlighted thing that I put on there. Is this a story about Bacchus?
Golly, you did. Yes.
So yeah, all the green, the verdant, the arousal,
and
the lust,
frolicking.
Yes.
I think it's Dionysus / Bacchus. I really do. And because it's a very like erotic figure, but a very god-like figure. Yeah,
and all the greenery, the verdant eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It's gotta be Dionysus.
It certainly struck me that way.
Same. Don't lie to us, Richie.
Or do, it's fine.
Or do,
we'll manage, but we're still gonna read it as Dionysus.
Yeah, it's absolutely gotta be Dionysus. And I like this characterization, if it is Dionysus. I like this characterization because I've always thought of Dionysus as being this like pretty like playful, jolly, lusty, but playful and jolly god. And if this is Dionysus, painting him as being like very powerful and hot and sexy
and kind. Yeah.
And I love, because I've always thought of Dionysus being kind.
Yeah.
But like being all powerful and muscular and sexy.
Yeah.
And like erotic.
Sign me up.
Yeah. I really like that characterization. I think it's awesome.
Yes, I do too. Yeah, and the only reason I made that connection is because you mentioned Bacchus when we were describing Verdant.
Yeah.
And so I would have never made that leap if it weren't for you cluing me into Bacchus in the first place.
Right.
But through and through, the writing in this is wonderful.
So good.
It's captivating.
But also it makes me wonder, where did Bacchus go? Where did Dionysus go?
Yeah, you will always find me if you need me.
Yeah.
Though I should hope to see you before then, I will be waiting. I am always waiting. You know where to look. Yeah, it's not clear.
Right.
It's not even remotely clear, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I loved this this one thing that this person is saying. But I'm just gonna say it's Dionysus. Hush, little one, breathe for me, breathe with me. Let the world turn without you for a while. It doesn't need you tonight. That is so wonderful.
It is.
That just wraps me up in a lovely warm blanket, and I could just curl up with that line and go to sleep.
I like the breathe for me part. Like, it almost makes you feel like the point of view character is somehow being like Dionysus's hands and feet on Earth as Dionysus is absent from Earth.
Okay.
Like, breathe for me.
Okay.
You know? Like, on my behalf, kind of.
Interesting. So like a vessel for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Boots on the ground.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say boots on the yes.
Whether or not this is Dionysus / Bacchus, this is a delightful read.
So delightful.
I love the surrealism of it all.
Yes. Wonderful.
Very, very wonderful. And last story for this week is by Ace of Sword.
Stick a pin in it. Okay, so thought this was very interesting.
Yes. Yeah. This is a wild story. This is a wild ride.
It's a wild ride.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
So this is a continuation of a long series of stories. And actually I wasn't familiar with these, but I went back and I started like the first two. This is about as far as I could get in the time that I had. So I got to the point where we actually do, I guess, meet this doll.
Yeah.
But either way, I don't think that you necessarily need all of that, but it does add some fascinating context. I will say that.
It does.
The doll, I gotta say, is so creepy.
Very, very creepy.
Very creepy, especially whenever it's crawling on the ceiling and hiding in the shadows, and then it comes out and it chuckies somebody across the neck. Oh my god.
Oh god.
Oh, so scary.
Yeah. That is very scary.
Yeah. And very well described to freak me out.
Yep.
What did you think of these superscript?
I don't know. I couldn't. I didn't really know what the purpose of that was, but I thought it was a cool touch.
It is a cool touch, and I'm gonna say my take is that it's like there's two consciousnesses in this single vessel, and they're trying to achieve some sort of cohesive understanding of each other, the situation, all in this like short span of time. And so we're getting the doll's perspective is the normal text, and then the spirit's perspective is the superscript. And so we're getting these kind of contradictions for the same things from each perspective.
Yeah.
So it is a very interesting touch.
It is. I thought it was really creative, and it reminded me of well, not really, but it kind of reminded me of, what's that book that you let me borrow with all the crazy kind of script and like formats that was at book club?
Oh, House of Leaves?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not really like House of Leaves, but it kind of reminded me of just of like some weird, like unstandard format, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like you might be able to achieve a similar result just in like parenthetical notation. Like you can just put it in parentheses following.
Yeah, but the superscript looks cool.
It does look cool, and it also implies like a kind of whisper. Like you like the doll's her back at this sudden rush of sensation.
Yeah.
A simple tremor in her fingers betray her presence. Like, yeah, it gives it kind of a whisper.
Yes.
Yeah, very cool. Generally, I'm a little at sea with the context of this story. I tried to go back and find like a little bit more context to this, but I'm still a little at sea with what came before and kind of where we're going and how to feel about this doll character. Because we're going to a lot of lengths to characterize this doll and the spirit that is inhabiting it.
Yeah.
And goes on to kill 2 soldiers whom we get no description or characterization or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
I kind of like how kind of like wild and all over the place it is.
Yeah.
It just seems like this like burst of creativity. And I like it.
Yeah, just this kind of just let it go, let it happen.
Yeah.
This is a absolutely wild ride.
It is. It's very artistically done.
Yes, great way to say it. Very artistically achieved this action sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because this is very action laden. The spirit coming to terms with this new vessel that they're inhabiting, and then trying to escape from these two soldiers. So yeah, very cool.
I don't know. I just like the whole description of the doll's feelings. In any other circumstances, she could have wept with joy. But right now, she couldn't afford to.
Yeah. Again, that just makes me more curious about this doll.
Yeah. The dolly.
Yeah, it's a very fascinating character.
It is. I like thinking of a doll as a character.
Yeah.
It's cute.
It makes me think of, you've seen What We Do in the Shadows?
Yes.
Yeah, the doll that she keeps around.
Yes.
That is her.
Right. That show's hilarious.
That's a wonderful show. Yeah, there's just, I like the kind of the dichotomy that we get between these two personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way they perceive different things. She sat up, pointing, bending, calling upon her magic, grabbing for one. So yeah, one is referring to their weapon as magic. Another one is referring to it as it's a knife. It's a throwing knife.
Mm-hmm.
And so these differing perspectives on the world that they're interacting with is very fascinating.
Yeah.
Manifest a gout of flame, throw it, and it's a throwing knife.
Uh-huh.
So that makes me think that the doll is in fact magic. See, I still don't know. Like, are we throwing knives? Is it a gout of flame?
I don't really know. Like, a lot of times I don't know where it's going with like the superscript.
Yeah.
Like on the third to last paragraph, which like she flattened herself into against the ceiling. What's the significance of that?
See, I don't know, but I do feel like it is significant.
Yeah, it has
in
to
some
be.
way.
It has to be, or else there wouldn't be like a superscript.
So it's like the normal text is referring to their weapons as magic, and so to that is the more mystical interpretation, whereas the superscript is more literal, I suppose.
Right, okay.
So the superscript, like, you don't actually go into the ceiling, you just go against it.
Okay.
So yeah, the superscript seems more of the pragmatic viewpoint.
I could see that. And I also like the idea of a doll using a short sword deftly. Her free hand deftly took the short sword.
Which is her short sword.
Right.
Yeah. And I did get to that point in the stories that you submitted before Ace of Sword, where we find the doll skewered with this sword.
Yes.
Like, that's how we come across this doll in the first place, is skewered with this sword. I want to say to a gravestone or something like that.
I don't remember, honestly.
But yeah, fascinating. Absolutely fascinating story.
Yeah.
And thank you, Ace of Sword.
Thank you, Ace of Sword.
Wonderful story. Wonderful.
Very unique.
Okay. That is all of our stories for this week. That is it.
Whoa.
We did it.
We did it.
All right. Shout out to mathanielmcclain for being selected here today. Yes. Excellent story. And then we also have the Prismatics 19, Chillaxin Yak, Walker by Faith, Nick to You, Successful Read 6361, Steve Living Room, Richie Posier, and Ace of Sword.
Loved these stories this week.
Yes, lovely entry, guys.
Yeah.
The spirit prompt was a hit.
It was.
Yeah.
And those words, though.
The words. Did you see the discussion on everything? That was a marvelous discussion between everybody. Everybody's commenting, and like a lot.
Yeah, I feel like that was like the most discussion we've had.
Yeah, that's a very engaging set of stories.
Yes,
there.
very.
Yeah.
These were particularly entertaining.
Quite entertaining. I enjoyed these quite a lot. So I was having a not wonderful day on Tuesday. And it was a long day, a lot of noise at work, you know, and so a lot of static. And I just I pulled up the subreddit and I saw all the stories and comments, and it was so satisfying.
Yay.
Oh, it was wonderful. It's like it's a wonderful escape. So
it is like food for the soul.
it really is. Really is.
We love it.
We
Food
love
for
it.
the spirit.
For the spirit, yeah, quite.
Right.
Well, that moves us directly into episode 12.
Yes, it does.
And our prompt for episode 12 is an intro line prompt.
Yay!
Hey! And the intro line that we would like you to use is, the street light flickered once, then everything went dark.
I adore that.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Perfect.
And the words to go along with this intro line are anger, enhance, rider, resist, and continuation, which we should all be quite familiar with the word continuation.
Yes, we should.
Yes. You got a definition for anger?
Yes. Anger is a sensation that one feels whenever they are angry.
Yes.
It's a noun.
Yeah.
Anger.
Rar.
Oh, and it can be a verb.
To anger somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you anger someone, yes.
Mhm.
It's similar to anger, the noun. Well, no, it's not actually. I feel like angry can only be associated with mad in the adjective form. Because, anger would be madness, but we don't use madness as anger. We use it as craziness.
Right. Yeah.
And to
Mhm.
madden someone is to make them crazy. Maddening. It's maddening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we only use mad as angry in the adjective form.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah. Just for distinction.
just so you know.
Yeah. Anger.
Yeah.
And then enhance.
Enhance.
Zoom in. Enhance.
This is where you
Get
yeah.
you. It's when you enhance. It's when you
enhance something into something else.
Enhance.
You enhance it n to something else. Not in n.
We have no way to define this word. Is basically.
So sorry. Well, it could be like to make something better, to improve upon something.
Okay. To improve.
Upon. To pixelate. To
depixelate.
Depixelate. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
To
I love that it is like, where's the enhance button for this picture? Like, that doesn't exist.
Enhance. Okay, so no, it's like it really enhances your eyes, your eye color.
To bring out, maybe?
To complement. I'm talking compliment with the E.
Complement.
Complement.
Compliment.
Compliment. Compliment. Enhance.
Oh, enhance. All right. And next, writer.
Are we talking writer or writer?
R-I-D-E-R.
Oh, damn.
Writer.
Like
you ride.
Right.
Someone who rides.
Right. One that rides. A rider. That's what it means.
I mean, there's nowhere else to go with that, is there?
No. A rider.
You could ride a motorcycle. You could ride a horse.
Mm-hmm.
You could ride a tiger made of lightning.
You could. You could ride a rider on the white horse who's you know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's actually like all of Revelations made into a song.
Oh, yeah. Then yeah, I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about.
Judges and mix war.
So that's Rider.
Yeah.
Resist.
Resist. Resist. What is that?
To not succumb.
Right.
To push back.
I almost want to say that I could be totally wrong, guys, so don't quote me on this, but I want to say that I know it comes from Latin, but I want to say it means stand again.
According to this definition.
Stand back.
Resist is withstand the action or effect of. Now, this is not etymology.
No, but I'm talking about the etymology.
Resist.
Etymology.
Etymologia.
Stand again or stand back.
Late Middle English, from Old French, from Ray, expressing opposition, and sister, stop. Opposite, stop. Reduplication of stare to stand.
Yes. Are you saying I was right? So I'm right.
Yeah, let's say, okay.
Yeah,
Let's just
okay.
say you're right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. So resist. Yeah, it's a verb. It means, to stand against something, to not accept something. Yes, as you said, push back against something.
Withstand against.
Withstand against. Resist.
Resist. Resist.
Resist.
And continuation.
Is that the last one?
Yeah.
Okay. Continuation is a noun. And it's whenever you continue something.
Yeah, like a story.
Right.
Yeah.
Like what our lovely writers have been doing.
Yes.
And by writers, I mean writers.
Writers.
Not writers.
Not riders of Rohan.
No, or riders on a white horse.
Also that. Yeah.
No, continuation. It's a continuous thing that has been continued.
Yeah.
If you want to be like these wonderful writers, not writers, writers.
Writers.
And submit your story to You Write, head on over to our subreddit at reddit.com/r/youwritepod. What? Where?
Reddit.com/r/youwritepod for those who haven't seen it. If you're unable to submit a story this week, that's fine. You can help out by reading and commenting on other people's stories.
Each time you post a story or leave a comment on someone else's submission, you increase your chances of having your story read on the podcast.
You can also reach us at youwritepod@gmail.com.
If you like our show and want to help support us, consider donating to our Patreon at
I give up.
Patreon.com/youwrite.
If you are unable to donate, that's just fine. You can help us by sharing the podcast with other writers and non-writers alike.
If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you know as soon as new episodes are available.
Also, be sure to leave us a rating and review in your podcatcher of choice. We unfortunately do not have a review to read this week, so I look forward to the delightful reviews I can expect for next week.
Me too. I can't wait.
They're going to be amazing.
Because the reason I'm excited is because we will be reading one review on each episode as well. So get creative. And I dare you to be more creative than our very own
mathanielmcclain. Because home run.
Yeah.
That was a home run.
That was.
And remember, join us next week on You Write,
a podcast where you write. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars.
See y'all next week.
Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand.